Willkommen. This is German 1, Chapter 11. So Deutsch Aktuar 1, Kapitel 11. Fangen wir an auf Seite 394 oder 343. So on 394 or 343, means of transportation. And that phrase, means of transportation, German manages to wrap into one word, das Verkehrsmittel. And then here are some of those means. Der Zug, das Motorrad. And remember, in German, when you have a compound word, the final segment of the word determines the gender. So we have learned das Rad as a wheel, das Fahrrad as a bicycle. So now we have das Motorrad. So you don't even need to memorize the gender because you already know it. Das Boot, die U-Bahn, die Straßenbahn, and notice again, Bahn is going to be feminine. So any word that has Bahn as its final word in the compound is a feminine word. And das Schiff. All right, now when we're talking about traveling, wohin fliegst du? Hast du Fahrkarten gekauft? Wann fährt der Zug ab? So notice abfahren is a separable prefix verb. So I conjugate the main part of the verb, fahren. It is a stem changer. The A changes to a umlaut for du or for RCS. The ab drops to the end of the sentence. Wann fährt der Zug ab? Hast du es geschafft? Now this, did you make it, is not, I'm looking at a sculpture in your house and saying, did you make it? But what we're using this phrase for in this chapter is like, did you make it? Like I was late for the bus, but I hurried and I made it. Ich habe es geschafft. Then sehen wir einmal auf dem Fahrplan nach. Now here's another separate prefix verb, nachsehen. That means to take a look at something. Right, so we're familiar with sehen, that means to see, but nachsehen is like to look at something. I'm going to look at a schedule. I'm going to go back and look at the date on the tickets. Hier steht's, and that steht is steht es. So here it is, or here it stands. Hier steht's, Abfahrt, Ankunft, and wir müssen umsteigen. So umsteigen is to transfer. Now, 409, 357, 409, 357. And before we begin this, please notice in the first column of the slide, this little note. In the 5th and 6th edition, there is a phrase that I want you to learn, even if you have 7th edition, and that is, wo sind die Kofferkulis? So in German airports, there's often a luggage cart, and it works like the carts at Aldi's that you put in a coin to get your cart loose. You can drive your luggage around the airport, and if you return it to the stand, you get your coin back. So those are Kofferkulis. So even if you have a newer edition, I want you to learn that word. Also look all the way to the right hand column of this slide. I have der Kofferkuli, just so you know that when there's one of them, it is masculine, right? The S is for plural. So I just would like you to keep that word, even though the book decided to omit it in the newer edition. Now, this is asking for or giving directions. And so there's several things that were updated. It's basically the same information, but they rephrased it. So I gave you the new phrases here on the slide. So, entschuldigen Sie bitte, wie komme ich zur Stadtmitte? So look at the zur, that is zu der, to the, right? It's a contraction that we often see with German prepositions. And as you learn more grammar, we'll learn more about those contractions. But I want you to understand that zu der already has the inside of it, like to the center of the city. So you don't need to add in a der, die, or das if you're making a sentence. If you have zur, you already have your word. And gehen Sie geradeaus, biegen Sie rechts ab, turn right. Biegen Sie links ab. So the word abbiegen is my word for turning, separable prefix verb, right? And notice also in this little interchange, when I stop a stranger and ask for directions, I don't know them by their first name. So all of this this interchange is using the formal you, Z, and the en verb that goes with formal you, because you wouldn't use do for a stranger. Then die Post ist auf der linken Seite or die Post ist auf der rechten Seite. Können Sie mir sagen, vielleicht kann der Herr Ihnen Auskunft geben or vielleicht kann die Dame Ihnen Auskunft geben. Now again, that Ihnen is my indirect object, right? So I'm saying perhaps the man or the woman, der Herr, die Dame, can give, kann geben, helping verb, kann, conjugated up next to the subject. Geben, my main verb, drops the end of the sentence. So what are they giving? Direct object, Auskunft, information. To whom are they giving it? Perhaps they can give it to you. That is how you get that capital I-H-N-E-N, Ihnen. It's the dative form of Sie. Right? Es ist ganz in der Nähe. Sehen Sie das Kino links an der Ecke or sehen Sie das Kino rechts an der Ecke? So again, you wouldn't say left and right, but it's showing you that with these directions, you can say it's on the left, it's on the right. Gehen Sie am Kino und an der Schule vorbei? Notice when we use that verb vorbeigehen, several prefix verb, vorbei goes to the end. And when I'm going past it, the cinema and the school are in dative case, right? It's because of the word vorbei, it puts them into dative. Das Museum ist rechts neben dem Café, or das Museum ist links neben dem Café. And then the luggage. Sie haben aber nicht viel Gepäck mitgenommen. So we did learn the word for suitcase, Koffer, but also Gepäck is just luggage, like a group word. Wir brauchen nicht viel Gepäck. Ich sehe den Zug in der Entfernung. Der Zug ist schon angekommen. Now look at that word. We know ankommen means to arrive. And this chapter, we are working on what we call present perfect tense. It's expressing things that have already happened. And you know that that GE is a marker for that. This is a separable prefix verb. What happens with the separable prefix verbs is that the GE, instead of going at the beginning of the verb in the participle, it comes between the prefix and the main part of the verb. So that's how you get angekommen. And then steigen wir ein. Let's get in. So let me just show you one more thing here before I close. So this is not exactly all for this chapter, but I want to show you. We have here einsteigen, right? It means to get on or like to board. Like I'm getting on a train or a plane or a bus, einsteigen. In the other section, I believe it was on section B, we had the verb umsteigen, that means to transfer. So remember, means around. And so umsteigen means like I'm getting off of one bus and getting on another one, or getting off of one train or getting on another one. And then we also have the verb aussteigen, that means to get off, or officially the English word is to disembark. So just want you to see how German uses a root verb like steigen. And let me just put that at the top here. Steigen means to climb. Now, einsteigen means climb on. Aussteigen means climb off. Umsteigen means climb from one to the other. That's a very literal the translation, but I want you to see how those words are related, because very often when you're memorizing vocabulary, if you can give your brain a word family like this, steigen, einsteigen, umsteigen, aussteigen, it's so much easier to memorize, because we know that ein can mean in or on. We know that aus can mean out of, right? I'm getting out of the train. And then my brain creates meaning with my root words, or with my prefix and a root word. So I just find that very helpful as I'm memorizing, to look for what I call word families, words that have related meaning, or especially if there's a root word that it all comes from, it makes memory work easier. Auf Wiedersehen.